Hey, welcome everybody to another segment of Coach Raymond's Carnivore Bites. This is our coach's coach to coach corner. And I have the honor to finally be able to interview Coach Steven here. I've known Steven for a good while on MeetRx. He's done many meetings, and he was actually the second top rated coach behind me at MeetRx. So welcome, Steven. Thank you so much for all you do, first of all.
Hi, Raymond. Yeah, and of course, when you left MeetRx, I became the top rated.
That's right. Yes, you were top rated coach then. Yes. And you were right behind me that whole time because I've always watched your numbers under reviews. And I was like, wow, you are tailing behind me. And, that gave me the incentive to, hey, keep it up, keep it going, keep my stuff open. Yeah. So that was nice.
And the honor's mine. I'm really pleased to be here. So it's great that you invited me.
Yes. So I want to ask you some things, Steven. How did you know you wanted to be a coach? How did you know that this was for you? I mean, you studied a lot of things. You could have easily gone for like being a doctor. I mean, your knowledge is just so vast.
Thank you for that. That's very flattering. I think I lost my parents when I was very young, and I was quite influenced by what I saw. My mother was in and out of intensive care for about 11 years on and off.
Oh my gosh.
And a lot of the things I know now, I wish I knew then, because I think outcomes would have been very different. And then I played sport at quite a high level. So if I was ever injured, I was just interested for my own selfish benefit to get myself back on the pitch. And then I found that the knowledge I'd amassed helped teammates. So that was interesting to be able to help somebody recover quicker. And then, so that was my 20s. It's going to be a long-winded answer, Raymond. I'm really sorry. But then I did like a bodybuilding tournament. So I was obviously interested in muscle growth and physiology and, getting ripped and bigger than I am now. I'm 57 now, but that was, in my 20s when I did that. And then I did middle distance running, marathon running, these sort of things, or half marathons, those sort of things. So I was pretty interested in sport and athletic progression and my own health. I've always been in and out of the gym. And then I started to see my health failing. I was getting fatter, I had colonoscopy and all these sort of things. And I was finding the answers I was getting were pretty poor, to be honest. And I was not happy with any of the answers for any of the health questions I had. So I basically decided to qualify myself because I was researching and I did have the knowledge. I remember going to an osteopath about a back pain and talking to the osteopath, and he just looked at me and said, "You should do this. You should be qualified in this." And I had that a few times. So I trained as a personal trainer. That was the first thing, which is obviously about health, and struggled to get people to lose weight because I was doing calories in, calories out. Interestingly, today I found out that Ben Bickman, who is a real sort of big guy in insulin and a professor of all this sort of stuff, he was a personal trainer, had exactly the same issues where he would train people and they wouldn't lose any weight. And he's now big in the insulin field and all that sort of stuff. So I started the personal training. Then I realized that I could bolt stuff onto that because I was interested in training diabetics and really getting to understand the obesity side of things. And then I also wanted to do the second degree in my life because I did an English degree and I felt that was wasted. So I did a science degree, which is all about health and physiology and, anatomy and progression of athletic development, because that's a big thing I was interested in. And it all just married up. And then I was doing that face-to-face and getting a lot of good reviews. And I had like 200 5-star reviews on Facebook and all this sort of stuff. And I realized that people just liked somebody who knew the bits and pieces and knew all the depth, but could explain it in a layman's way. And I was beginning to get results. So whereas I used to be celebrating somebody losing 7 pounds and their diabetic management being okay, Now I've got 3 or 4 people who lost over 100 pounds. It's pretty straightforward to get somebody to lose 30 pounds. People off of metformin, reversing their diabetes. So, when you get an email saying, I've just been to the doctor and he's taken me off metformin, thank you. It's taken me 7 weeks. I mean, that's the quickest one I've ever had. It's taken me 7 weeks to get off my prescription medication, which I thought I was going to have for life. You go to bed feeling really, very happy, and they're very thankful, and it's just amazing. And I like going back to my parents, for instance. I also lost a girlfriend to breast cancer in my 20s. So going back, I do genuinely think I could have helped them if I'd have known then what I know now. So it's just nice to be able to help people and get them back on their feet. Literally, some people have gone from, being with a Zimmer frame to walking.
Yes.
I've had a guy who came and he was proud of being able to do 500 steps, and now he can do 15,000. So all different metrics, all different things are making people happy. But the nub of it, I suppose, and never mentioned in the medical field, or rarely mentioned in the medical field, is so much of this is down to nutrition. It's not down to exercise necessarily. It's not down to this, that, the other. It's down to the way they eat. And it's simple. I mean, and this way of eating is about as simple as you can get.
Yeah. So actually, it almost sounds like if you did choose like a GP route or a doctor route, you would be almost more tied up, like where you couldn't say and do certain things. So in this way, this gave you the freedom to actually exercise your professionalism to actually help people.
Yes.
So in a way, that was good that you did not become a doctor.
Well, I mean, for a lot of the qualifications, you have to learn the medications, you have to learn the mechanism of action and side effects and contraindications of when to do certain things. So it's interesting to have that knowledge. It is definitely helpful to know about that side of things. But I would also say that a lot of doctors, and I'm on a sort of what's called a GP referral certificate. So I speak to doctors and people in the NHS, and they feel tired. I mean, they feel tired, exactly what you just said. Allopathic medicine is the first line of treatment is medication. So when I did my diabetes specialism, I was constantly putting my hand up and saying, have we looked at carbohydrate intake? Because you keep telling me to dose insulin in relation to carbohydrates. The medications are either blocking the production of carbohydrate, or blocking glucose coming from the liver, blocking absorption of carbohydrates. There seems to be some clues here. We're trying to block it in the small intestine. We're trying to stop us making it. Why are we still stuffing it in our faces? And just really obvious stuff, really. So, I think I did pick the right way of approaching it.
I totally agree. Now, you also learned how to you're a phlebotomist, so you learned everything about blood work. So what made you decide to go down that road?
Frustration in one respect, because it was quite expensive to get people to go to a lab and have the bloods and come back. And I just thought this is really silly, because there's a big delay as well. Whereas if I was trained to take bloods, send them to the lab, have a report sent back with the doctor's comments on there as well, that would speed things up, and also give me an even greater understanding, because I could pick the lab and I could pick the doctor's report, full length, and really get a lot of context on somebody. And I just felt that would be very helpful as an addition. And of course, blood work is handy. It's just biomarkers. It is not the be all and end all, but it is another piece in the jigsaw. So if someone comes and they present with certain conditions, and you can say to them, well, you can do this thyroid panel, you can have this, and we can look at everything, your TRH, TSH, T3, T4, everything, and antibodies. We can have a look and we can rule this out, or have some insight into actually what's going on. And it seems quite holistic. I know that's like a buzzword, but it is, looking at the whole person, looking at symptoms, not numbers, and adding that level of context, really.
Yeah, no, that's great. Now you also have another specialty, which is for that whole posture and all that. Can you, I
Oh,
don't know
yeah.
how to describe it. I don't understand it. So tell me.
Well, yeah, I did osteopathic spinal manipulation and postural analysis, those sort of things, because lower back pain management is the other thing I'm a specialist practitioner in, because lower back pain affects pretty much 90% of the adult population in the UK. At some point will have lower back pain. And I thought, well, this keeps coming up. So again, same thing. I mean, I'm 57 now, so I've had years to be able to do different qualifications. It would be handy to understand that. So instead of offering, steroid injections or pain-killing medication, some things are fixed just by looking at posture. So we can do a sort of full body scan, like a 3D picture is produced, and then we can look at different things that could possibly happening in the body, looking at the skeleton, and that's why we've got the skeleton over there, to then explain what's going on. Can do real-time video of squats, some athletic movements, and also get that analyzed to say, here you go, when you're at this level of this squat, here's the problem, and it's caused by this muscle doing this. So it's just another string to the bow, because posture does have a huge impact on energy. If you've got bad posture in particular, and if you have pain, lower back pain, it can have a knock-on effect with so many other things, and you can feel so fatigued from pain that other things you want to do, like eat properly, or sleep and recover, become secondary, because you're just constantly thinking about that back pain. So I felt if we could tick that box as well, so anyone coming in with whatever they present, it would be a nice idea to have a little bit of knowledge and some qualifications in that particular field to be able to say to them, right, we can deal with that. So it makes me feel quite confident when people come in that I might be able to help them in some way. So
yeah. Now you also had some miraculous stories to me about the posture things. You said there was a client. I mean, it didn't even take long fixing the posture. Could you elucidate a little more?
Yeah.
We'd love to hear it.
Well, again, lots and lots of reviews on Facebook where people are saying, I can't believe it. I had this pain for 20 years, and literally 20 minutes later, I was walking out without that pain. And you can see on YouTube, lots of people being clicked and popped and all that sort of stuff. I don't tend to use force. It's more sort of finesse rather than force. I suppose the most miraculous one was a guy came in, he had a big wad of MRIs and X-rays and reports, and he'd spent thousands and thousands of pounds to try and sort his back pain out. And just basically said, well, let's have a look at your posture. Palpated an area where I thought there was an issue, and we just put him on the couch, manipulated him, and literally from being bent over and coming in, racked in pain, he was off the couch, couldn't believe it. When I said, well, that's £40, he said, I would pay you anything. I said, well, that's the cost. It's a 30-minute session. And he was, back windsurfing, and stuff like that.
Wow,
and I
that's
was
amazing.
Messages all the time saying he just changed my life. And, it's very, very gratifying, and it makes you feel really, it's satisfying to have instant results for some people.
Yeah. That and the power of carnivore, which unfortunately that I wouldn't say is so instant, but I mean, the changes that happens in people, I can't imagine getting their posture right, getting carnivore right, and pretty much doing, taking a full blood work panel with you. I mean, you have it all around, and I love that about you, Stephen.
Oh, thank you. But I think the power of nutrition is the thing. Honestly, I mean, everybody that comes in, it's tough because they'll say, well, I've got this bit of a gut. I don't want to take my shirt off when I'm being manipulated, And I'll say, well, have you considered how you eat might have an issue on your posture? If you've got a bit of a belly here, that's going to change the way you're standing and cause issues. So it is a nice thing to be able to talk to. I would say with all those qualifications, without a shadow of a doubt, the nutrition is the top. is the top
Absolutely.
thing. Because you could have your posture corrected, but if you're eating badly, you will have other complications. Whereas if you're eating a species appropriate, species specific diet, then your body is going to be optimal. It's going to function at its best possible way. And so those other things you won't need. You won't need bloods. You won't need manipulation. You don't need personal training to lose the weight. I mean, I'm not going to bore you with lots of studies about the ineffectiveness of training, but the effectiveness of this nutrition is huge. It's absolutely huge. I can't believe the difference. And 100+ clients in now, and just the majority having weight loss and blood pressure lowering, skin improvements. So that's a really big one. Digestive improvements, toilet habits getting better, reversal of gray hair for some people. I know that happened to you. It happened to me a bit. I mean, this was very, very great.
I still have gray. You can tell from my beard and all that, but it was all gray right all on here. So you know what I mean? Yeah. And for 57, you definitely don't look that. So that's great. So I would say maybe 37, but yeah, which is wonderful. But how do you convince clients to actually stay the course? I mean, I know my clients have noticed all the benefits and all that, but for some reason they're like always finding a reason to get off. Have you noticed that?
Yes, I think I'm realistic. I always say you'll never know the full benefits of this if you don't try it. That's the thing. If you don't give it a proper go, you'll never know how good it could be. And that's even people that have come from keto and been very low carb. I think they go that extra step. And because I experienced that, you've experienced that, and coaches, we all talk about that step from going from maybe 90% carnivore to going.
Huge difference.
Makes a huge difference. And you wouldn't think it would.
Right.
But I suppose it does depend on the person, but I do appeal to their, basically their own experience, because most of them start it and they do get this huge shift in benefits. And then maybe 2-3 months into it, they might say, oh, well, I've got this social event and I haven't seen my dad, and all this sort of stuff. And I say that's good. Don't look at that as failure. Get some feedback from it. Imagine how you're going to feel if you do, decide to just eat loads of cake and lots of Coca-Cola and all this sort of stuff. And if they do that, I never say to them, you failed. I will say, right, there's your feedback. How do you feel? And they feel bad. They never feel great. And they say, oh, sluggish, can't believe it. And a strange thing is they feel so hungry. Very quickly that comes back. And that's the thing. I say it's so obvious that this way of eating is the best way, because I don't feel hungry. I'm not constantly thinking about food. And I think if you can talk to your social circle, and I tend to say, try and use a bit of humor. So what's the big deal? I'm not eating potatoes. So what? Who cares? Right. Why are you getting so hung up? I don't eat carrots. Who cares? It doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter what you're eating. It matters what your health is and what your relationship is. So if you're getting some, a banter back from people saying, oh, it's a crazy diet, you become the example. You say, well, look, I'm the fittest person at the table. I'm feeling vibrant. It works for me. And I think, obviously some people don't stick with it. I've not really found that. I've been quite lucky, I think. Maybe it's the fact that I'm realistic that they may not follow it 100%. And I think with this particular situation in the world at the moment, there is that extra level of stress and not seeing your family. I get all that, and if you haven't been allowed to go out for 16 weeks because of restrictions, and you meet with your family, possibly you want to do whatever you want to do. And I totally understand that. So I think coaching in this period, Raymond, has been, they had that extra level of challenge, because you're dealing with such an unusual situation.
With very high emotions. And that's the one I have a hard time with, because emotions usually overrides any logic.
Yes, and but you see, the thing is, we're human beings, aren't we? We're
We are.
compassionate. And
We are.
if someone came into my session and said, "Oh, then I have had it. I have actually had this. I haven't seen my dad for 18 months. I went to his house and we just got blitzed." And I went, "Yeah, I totally get that.
Of course.
Totally
I'd
get
be
that."
totally, I'd be the same way. I tell my clients all the time, I probably would have done the same thing you did. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
And then that will be the Monday of the coaching session will be, "Oh, I don't feel like training today and I'm starving."
Right.
Right, okay, but you did it. You got it out of your system, and that's fine.
That's
And
what
I
I
think
say.
that's the thing about coaching. I think that person would go off the rails. They would go, "Oh, I've blown it now. That's it. I've ruined my gains. I've added 3 pounds in a weekend. I'm just going to carry on like this now."
Right.
Whereas if you're accountable, if you're talking to someone and you laugh and joke and say, "Wow, yeah, but doesn't that show you how bad that food is for you?"
Right.
Do you really want to feel this bad for the rest of your life?
Get them to make that connection. Absolutely.
Yeah, just get straight back on it.
Yep. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Coach Stephen. This was actually great. So hopefully we should do some more of these. This was really nice.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Coach Stephen.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.